Welcome to another episode of TikTok Famous Podcast. Today, I am so excited to have Unlearned 16 on the podcast, Joannna Johnson, and we are going to talk about her book, her podcast, and everything in between. So stay with me.
You're listening to the TikTok Famous Podcast, where viral fame meets raw reality. Join your host, Meredith Willits, as she dives deep with your favorite creators to uncover the real stories behind the scroll, the highs, the lows, the algorithm chaos, and everything in between. This is not your average interview. This is the TikTok Famous Podcast.
Okay, so let's just start with, I think you know more about America and American politics than Americans, and I'm obsessed with it. And yeah, just thanks for being here, and thanks for being here in life, honestly.
Thank you so much. First of all, your intro is amazing, by the way. I'm like, that's incredible. The voiceover, the music, I love it.
Oh, we got it all going on here. We got it all going. So I found you, which I didn't even realize you were a Gen Xer. I'm kind of traumatized by your skin and your like very youthful looks that you're only a few years.
That's why.
I'm traumatized. 3.5 million followers on TikTok alone.
That's true. That's crazy. It's weird.
That's so crazy. And I read today that you started with lip syncing and dancing.
Yeah. Sure. No dancing. I think I danced once, and it was very basic. I can't dance. So and my wife to be tries to teach me. So way more lip syncing, but like when I say lip syncing, like I'd go buy a guitar at Best Buy so I could actually be playing Jamie's Got a Gun in the street. It was a situation. My friends thought I was having a nervous breakdown.
Well, I mean, was this COVID? Was this when like Slim Sherry and I and everyone got on and were like, what else are we going to do? But like whatever
Absolutely. Yeah. But the thing is, what it did is I was trapped. So a lot of the lip syncs in the beginning, obviously, were in my house because you didn't have any choice. And then what I recognized by it was two things. Number one, I think everybody's a little creative. First of all, everybody wants to be a rock star, but everybody's a little creative. Like they have that. Everybody has that, but it's been drummed out of you either because you're not great or either because there's really no space for it. Or as an adult, we're really not supposed to play in that manner anymore. I think that it opened up this world. And then what ended up happening is I ended up accidentally becoming a part of this incredible community who didn't have any outlets at the time. And then all of a sudden, I do lives often. So all of a sudden every night at 7:30, it's a little bit of family. So that was nice as well. People very much became to depend and rely on it. And not because I'm talking, but also because they've made real friendships with each other in the chat and stuff.
Yeah, I think so many of us Gen Xers and just across the space have gotten, involved in TikTok. And it was like the kids made fun of us, or they're like, okay, hey, just try it. Like, yeah. It's either go try it, mom, for me anyways, or you're crazy. Why are you doing this? And you're just like, oh, forget it. And like, I think like to your point, we all want to be rock stars. It's fun. We get to connect. We get to act out. Like where else do you get to act out? Mm-hmm. I can't even do half this stuff that I do and say. I know you probably have more crossover on like Facebook and Instagram. Like I'm much edgier on TikTok than I am on Facebook and Instagram. I'm a very different person.
Well, Facebook, they just take you down, right? It would just get taken down on Facebook?
Like either taken down or taken down. Like you're just destroyed. Yeah, one of the two.
I actually don't have a Facebook account. So somebody, as soon as I became a little bit, known on TikTok, somebody created a Facebook account that says Unlearn 16, but that's not me.
So I know what Unlearn is, and we're going to talk about that because I'm obsessed. Where's the 16 part come from?
It was my baseball number.
Perfect. Okay. As long as it's simple. 34 is our family's number, and everybody's softball, baseball, everybody's 34 in my family. So I'm in alignment with that.
That's it.
So yeah, so you have a podcast. Is that born from the TikTok?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because I like to drone on for longer periods of time, but I thought it was going to be able to, I thought I was going to have more people sort of in my space. But what I wasn't quite aware of is how lengthy COVID would sort of intrude upon that ability to like have people. And then I'm like, I can have certain people, but then other people, it's all online. And part of me wants to sort of turn that podcast into something more mobile. If like a vlog with actual conversation, if that makes any sense for me, because I'm always somewhere else. So being able to sit down and be in the space, in a studio space or whatever, it's not incredibly difficult, but I would rather it be, I can go anywhere, have these conversations, and then, but it's also
the beautiful thing of podcasting is pretty much, and my husband told me, I was on with Adrienne Curry last week, and all of a sudden at around 11 a.m., my Wi-Fi just completely shut down. He goes, yeah, sometimes our Wi-Fi at 11 a.m. just completely shuts down. So I'm like, oh my God, how is that a thing, by the way? So if that happens, don't hang up.
I love it.
What
time is it right now there?
It's 10:40. So I'm like, right now I'm just kind of negotiating. Do I put it on my iPhone right now, or do I just pray to the Wi-Fi gods? Like,
does it shut off every time, does it?
I don't know. I mean, I've been podcasting for 4 years now.
We're about to find out.
I know.
I like it.
I just can't even. Yeah, I saw like you take us on your journey of planning your wedding. You taking us on your journey of going to an antique, which was dying at the antiques that you were picking up. I'm like, I know that one. I know that one. Because you're Gen X, and it's hysterical because you don't look Gen X. And you're still so sharp as a tack. Whereas I think the rest of us are kind of, and we have to talk about your doctor's visit because that's life. But I do get what you're saying, because I was watching some videos and they were talking to homeless people the other day, and I'm like, God, I think that those voices need to be heard. And I was talking to my mom, who's 78 yesterday, and we were talking about, with getting rid of Medicaid, what that's going to do to the elderly population who now can't go into nursing homes for memory care, for illness, for old age, etc., even if they're poor when Medicaid disappears. And I am actually going to have someone on the show coming up here to talk about what Medicaid actually means to people that aren't poor right now. You're going to have to go live with your kids, or you're going to be homeless. So I do think a lot of times about this idea, like you're saying, about being on the move, or having these interviews, having these conversations on the streets, and so on and so forth. And that is the beauty of a podcast, is you can, as long as you have a connection, as long as you can record, you can go have these conversations with people, which is what you are essentially doing to me, and for I'm sure 3.5 plus million people, is you're bringing the conversation to them that they don't even know that they're missing. They don't even realize they missed in school. They don't even realize that they're missing holes of their current life or their history and how we got to where we're at. And you're bringing that out from Canada. P.S. Everyone that's watching right now and listening, you're not even from the United States.
No.
But oh my God.
Well, and it's funny because a lot of people are like, two things: why do you know it, and if you know it, why do you care? Like, and sometimes in a negative way, like get out of our business kind of thing. And the reality is that I don't mean to be in any way disrespectful, but the United States is very much, and it has been for quite some time, the center of the universe. And what that allows people from the United States to do is not look outside. Not educationally, not physically. I know a lot of people from the United States who have never traveled, not just outside of their state, but outside of their county.
Yeah.
And so you have the luxury of being, well, this is my world, right? Whereas in a lot of other countries, because the United States is such a world leader and a superpower, whether we wanted to or not, understanding who you are, what, the place in the world, what decisions are getting made. If you're not aware of it, it's just it'll crush you anyways. So you might as well get educated about it, right? And Canada, I mean, we sit right beside you. And the decisions, a lot of people don't understand this about Canada, because a lot of people will then blame the United States for a lot of things. And I'll be like, listen, a lot of any sort of military venture the United States has been engaged in, we've been right beside you. We've made those choices right with you. We just don't get the blame, right? So when it goes sideways or whatever the case may be, but the United States and Canada have been very, very strong economic allies and military allies. And obviously we're seeing with economics, you can either understand our trading relationships or watch your small business at this point fail because of the weight of a tariff, because of the weight of the new dynamic that's emerged, right? I also joke, I do joke. Am I allowed to swear on this podcast?
Yeah.
I say living next to the United States is kind of like sleeping with an elephant. When you guys shit the bed, it really, we get it all over us. So we got to be.
There's a visual.
On top of it.
Well, I was actually having a conversation about, the importing of crude oil and how our refineries work and how we resell it. I'm like, we're making money on this deal. The United States
makes no sense. Everything that's happening right now is not, I promise you, in no way, shape, or form is about money. It isn't. It's not about money. It's about creating chaos to take control.
Yeah.
And stepping outside of whether I like him or I agree or any of those things, he is an impressive agent of chaos. And that chaos means a lot of world leaders are looking at each other where there's a level of predictability from everybody else and not from him. And as much as I hate to say this, it gives an advantage.
Well, it's just, I mean, I remember the first 4 years, my husband and I would talk about it. And it was like every day you wake up to some shitstorm. Like it's like every day. And I think the human self, like just humanity, kind of like, how people like get a glass of wine in front of them or cup of coffee and it's like, all right, let's talk about somebody.
Yeah.
It's almost like people thrive on toxicity. And I don't know, they must be tapping into something here with this waking up to a shitstorm every day because people must like it. I think they think that we're mixing it up. Like we want them in there to mix it up. There was like, and I think that at last term, everyone made sense. Like you don't want to mix it up for brain surgery. You don't want to mix it up when it comes to world policy and politics and healthcare.
I don't think you do. I think when you're going to, because I think what's going to happen now, unfortunately, I think that level of chaos works to a degree. And then what ends up happening is countries like Canada, and whether they're doing it overtly, let's say how Carney's doing it, or covertly, they will start to make economic, military, political, and social alliances with other nations and slowly pulling away the dependency on the United States, which will in turn weaken the United States. Nobody likes chaos on the other side. And it might seem like it's working for you right now. But all of a sudden, when we're selling the lion's share of our crude to China, or we've made military agreements with the EU, or whatever the case may be, the United States and the people, and this is what breaks my heart, the people of the United States, who on the whole I love, are going to be put in a bad position and are going to be, that level of power is going to rescind. Now, do I think it's a better world if there wasn't somebody sitting at the head of the table and there were relatively like-minded shareholders of power? Yeah, that's why forms of democracy work.
Yeah.
Is when you have that one person sitting at the head of the table. Like if the United States pulls out of the NATO, or if they pull out of the UN, it's done.
Yeah.
It's done. But what the next 20, 25 countries should realize is that if you you got to sit at a table, and now you got to figure out, do you want to win the game by yourself, or do you want to forge alliances so that you can now balance out power of a nation that's held it in a pretty, for a pretty long time. The United States
Yeah.
has.
And I have talked about it so many times myself, like, just travel. Just travel. I mean, like,
Changes your perspective. Yeah.
it's changes your entire life, that you don't have the only religion. We don't have the only democracy. We don't have the best way of all. There's other interesting ways. There's other people. People of color are interesting and amazing and do things in an amazing way. But, the smaller, and I think that this propaganda started a while ago, was scaring Americans from traveling. I
Sure.
mean, I have many people in my family that will not leave the United States out of complete and utter fear of being killed or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's smart. I mean, if you think about what they've done, and by they I mean the people that kind of move all the chess pieces, right? And we're just kind of here watching and absorbing and being here for it. They do it really well.
Mm-hmm.
Religion, you're a pious person. You're going straight to heaven. Don't travel. You'll get murdered if you go to other countries. You won't survive it. They do a really great job of controlling people. And we believe, we meaning the people that are falling for it. I've been traveling this whole time, but the people that fall for it, it's almost like being in a bad marriage where you're like, okay, if I stay home and I cook dinner, everything will be okay. If I stay home and the house is clean, then everything will be okay, which takes me right back to childhood. If I fall in alignment with my parents, I won't get grounded. I won't get in trouble. I'll be able to go to the movies on Friday night. Like, they're just playing from the same playbook, but in a grand scale to keep people afraid and pious. I mean, this is 101.
Yeah, I think fear is a very, very interesting and manipulating emotion. So, and I think this, funnily enough, this second term is because of the COVID was scary. I'm not even going to come close to getting into any aspect of what you did and mandates and this and travel
Yeah.
and what you had to do and what schools did and mass. Here's the bottom line. That moment in time for me is the only moment in my 50 years that I've looked at, that I stood in a lineup to get into a grocery store and I couldn't go in, and it was quiet, and people were getting sick, and I felt scared.
Yeah.
And I felt scared by something I knew I had zero control over. Right? That was all. And again, I don't care where it came.
Right.
The point of it is that's a power of Mother Nature. That's the end of World War I. Here's the Spanish flu. Let's see when you do with that, right? There was a power in that and an uncontrollability of that scared people. So I think you have two kinds of people out of that. You had this branch. Both were scared. One group said, cool, I'm going to get the shot. I'll go 17 times. I'll take all the precautions to keep me and my family and all of these people safe, and we will get through it, right? That's one way, because that was the kind of control, you could hold on to.
Yeah.
The other way was to deny it.
Yeah.
It was a lie. It was manipulation. It was It was government propaganda. Nobody. You go that road. And the reason why you're going that road is because you don't want to be afraid. So you deny its existence.
Right.
So those divergent roads, which were both, stemmed from fear, I think was the first time in my lifetime that emotionality was so incredibly heightened and easily divisible, right? I don't have a Vietnam. I don't have a World War II. Like, those things aren't scary to me because I didn't live through them. But here we are. So I think, and then people pick sides and then decide, how am I going to use this information in order to, and even if you're thinking there is no ill intent, let's pretend for a second, even though we know some people have that, there's a moment, there's a cultural sort of fulcrum where you're like, oh, this is the time. This is the time that I am going to garner some sort of power or some sort of legitimacy, and I'm going to be able to steer the ship, right? And here we are. And I think different people did it different ways. And now we're dealing with the fallout of that, right? The fallout of, all of the things that I just talked about. And then you have this whole new culture emerge that is all about, well, let's go back. Well, of course you want to go back.
Do you believe that, like, when I look at it and I talk to people, because I am friends and I am family members with people that love Trump. I also have to say that I did talk to someone recently that loved Trump, like shit in their house loved Trump. And
like
there's
posters. What do we got?
Hats, t-shirts, socks, like hanging, like in the kitchen though. Like I don't have the poster, but I'll put the hat there.
All right.
And I feel that they are starting to kind of, this is the first time I was able to have a conversation with this person, because I tend to not bring it up because that's not how I want to base my life, is on this person in office. But I'm feeling them starting to dial it back. I'm feeling that I can say things like, I felt like in 2016 that Trump ran on, Constitution, patriotism, and all that. And now all of a sudden we're basing this entire 2024 on anti-Constitution, like we're just blowing the whole thing up. Like it doesn't matter, no due process, no like whatever. And I felt like I was actually able to have logical, calm conversations, but this person is actually very well read at the same time, and is open to listening to both sides. So I am on both sides of people, of humanity, of talking and being friends with both sides. But I feel, and I will die on this hill, that Trump was created from Obama.
Well, yeah, sure. It's a pendulum, right? 100%. It's a pendulum. I still can't believe, listening to Obama, by the way, I mean, I would travel anywhere to hear that man speak, but that level of charisma and intelligence, we can talk about his policies. We can talk about what's going on in Syria. We can talk about a lot of problems that I have necessarily with the way things played out. But I don't think anybody can really, disregard his ability and charisma to command that kind of attention, because he was awesome.
So awesome. Eloquently and with such a sense of humor, and just like
that's why he's smart. That's why he can do all of those things, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not lying. When I remember when he was running, and I started hearing glimmers, like pieces of him, and I'm like, because nobody really knew who. Well, I didn't.
Oh, yeah.
It was out of left field, right? I'm like, his name's Barack Hussein.
Right. I mean, this is never gonna.
He's an African American man. He has family where? Yep. No, I'm gonna put 100 on that's never gonna happen, Alex.
Never.
Like I would have bet the farm.
Yep.
And by the way, I'm not just talking about the United States and the culture. No person of color has been running for our high. We have Jagmeet Singh, who is the leader of a political party, but nobody's ever sat in that prime minister seat either. So like, I'm just like, I'm astounded. Is this, and the connection to like just the name Hussein and the connection to Iraq, and I'm just like, it's just too much. It's too much. And then he got elected, and I remember thinking, thank God I was wrong, and how inspirational that is. And then what I didn't think about at that time was how many people sat at home that night and went, this is the downfall. Yeah. Because he is African American, because he has, his father was Muslim, because whatever, right. Because they want to.
I thought that was the beginning. of.
It is.
Holy shit.
It is the beginning. I promise you, right. It is the beginning. This is the backlash.
Right.
This is just it's the wave of progress, and the tide comes out. It is the counter movement to that.
Yeah.
And I honestly believe, and I kind of, part of me, even though it's so painful, what Trump did is, when everybody was denying that racism was gone, that homophobia was gone, that sexism was gone, that everybody's equal, what Trump did is he said, no, 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 say it with your full chest, you
Full
morons,
chest.
right? And in that place, you were able to see the reality that is still the United States, and again, other Canada as well. You're able to see the reality, whereas all these people kept their mouth shut because it wasn't okay, because it wasn't politically correct, because, right? And now they're emboldened, and it's like the end of Jerry Springer. Remember Jerry Springer when they would always take off their, I'm like, good, be on TV, you idiot.
Yep.
Kind of the same thing I'm thinking about here.
Yeah.
Say it with your full chest.
Wear the t-shirt
TV,
so I know.
Wear the hat.
Yep.
Put it on your social media forever. Make sure it never dies on the internet, so we all know what we're up against. It's not like, I'm not thinking of it, because a lot of people, when I say stuff like this, they're like, oh, well, then it will just be like revenge when the Democrats take office or whatever. I'm like, no, you're not getting my point. My point would be, we have failed as a culture.
Yes.
Where did we fail? How do we fix that? And again, obviously, it would be the opposite to what Trump is doing, right? All your money should be in education. All your money should be in innovation. There is no way in hell you should be demanding back manufacturing jobs, getting paid crappy money, doing monotonous labor. You should be training, as the most powerful, wealthiest country in the world, your citizens should be doing all of the innovative work, all of the understanding that, okay, so we're not doing the manufacturing anymore because we have the skill set, we have the infrastructure, we can do this, this, and this. Now it's time to expand, not recede, sorry. So I think that's incredibly important, but that's the difference.
And said we have the largest military in the world, otherwise now known as ICE.
Yeah. Well, at least Dean Kane's gonna maybe.
I can't even. What the hell? No, I actually did a video a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, where I said this is going to work itself out. It has to. There's no other way. There's no way we're headed here. Like there just isn't.
Yeah, I mean, work itself out is an interesting way of putting it. I think people will have to work it out. I think the 90 million people that didn't vote in this last election, I think they have to work it out. I think the people that have decided, who have abdicated power because they've chosen not to vote for many reasons, and I understand there's a lot of play going on there and a lot of manipulation, but not of the 90 million. But the people that said it doesn't matter, whoever I vote for, it doesn't matter, never really. Oh yeah, here we are, and I think social media has done this incredible thing of having people actually talk, actually debate, actually get educated in real time. And that's never existed before, right? When I went to school, even when I started teaching, the gospel was my textbook. That's it. You memorized the textbook. You sat down, you did history class, you regurgitated textbook. That was it. You moved on. Never did I think in my wildest imagination that my government completely ignored and pushed aside residential schools for our Indigenous people.
I just talked to a nun about. She was a nun for 20 years, and then became an archaeologist, and then became an author. I just talked to her last week. Fascinating. Like who goes into the nunnery, a convent, for 20 years and then leaves? And I asked her, I'm like, did you know about this? Did you know about the Indigenous people being buried under schools in Canada? And she's like, we had no idea.
No.
She's like, we were so, and she was in Texas. She's like, you don't, and I go, did you know about the pedophiles? And she said, no, but when I found out who one was, I could have put him in a lineup when I was in. She's like, you knew who the creeps were, but I just didn't put my finger on it because I didn't know this was a thing.
This is my thing. So, the whole Epstein file, blah, blah, blah. Why isn't it coming out? Nobody's releasing it, yada, yada, yada. Here's my theory. I mean, outside of the obvious, powerful people don't want their name in a bad, my idea is this. Nobody says it like you want it to be this big, like the government comes down and punishes all these people, when in actuality, the majority of families are sitting at home with a secret of their own. Yep. The uncle they don't talk about, the priest they don't talk about, the whatever, and you're like, shh, we just exclude them, but we don't talk about it. We don't prosecute. We don't make a big deal. That's private we made it our culture, United States and Canada alike. We made it our culture, this secrecy, this shame of these things happening to individuals in our family. Why do we think that the government should be held to a higher level of accountability in these powerful people than we held Uncle so-and-so who came for Thanksgiving one too many times and got a little too friendly with?
Right.
So like you can talk to any family, I guarantee, even if it's a little bit more distant, somebody knows somebody in their family who's crossed that kind of line, and they don't come around for dinner, but they sure as hell didn't walk them down to the police station and put it on the 6 o'clock news, because that's not what you do. Until we make it known, until we aren't ashamed, until, and we're getting closer to that. But the amount of people that hide it.
Well, I mean, just sitting here talking to you, it's interesting because I'm watching as you're talking, as we're sitting here. It's like you said, like there was this momentum of like, okay, we have a Black president. Okay. Child of a single mom. Okay. And now we have social media. So we're able to share all of this. I always talk about TikTok. It's like you're getting college education, you're getting a PhD, and you could be like literally not even a high school graduate. This is the first time in history that we have been privy to information without necessarily going to an institution, even though TikTok can make it feel like an institution at times. And, as you and I are talking about this, it feels like this massive zit. Like we're exploding our families, we're exploding ourselves, we're exploding. Everything is being put out into the open. Me Too movement. And, all of these things, it's like we're flushing it out, and we're flushing the bad, and we're having these conversations, like you're saying, even about, like, we want to look at Trump. We want to look at the Epstein files and go, over there, that's the bad guy. I can name him.
He's always over there.
It's always over there. Like the other ones, the immigrants, the Black, the LGBTQ plus.
It's easy.
Easy.
They're the problems. The people with money are the problems.
Oh God, right.
Who are rock stars and you get to live they're the problems with drugs. Are you okay?
Right.
You know how many, when you look at a rock star who's addicted to whatever, and you're like, why would they, like, what, like all of these are horrible. You look at how many parents are on their kids' Adderall. Stop it.
Yep.
How many people need a few glasses of whatever before they go to? Stop it. You cannot point to addictions or failures in a certain group of, they're like, why are all these Hollywood people unfaithful? Well, go check on how many people
in your circle, in your family. Yeah. No.
I've seen The Hunting Wives. It's not a good thing.
Oh my gosh. I just saw you were commenting about that on your video.
Everybody has an adulterer.
I didn't have any idea what kind of ride I would go on, and I think I'm only on the second episode, and I am traumatized.
Dude, you're not even close to how bad it gets. Not even close.
The ride. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking every time I want to say the word Trump, Epstein, whatever, I need to go, okay, wait, what's wrong with my backyard? Let's talk about my family. I'm not even going to look outside anymore. I'm just going to look down at my own feet and say, until the room that I'm sitting in right now is cleaned up, Worry about yourself.
Well, it's just what the reality there is that there is just such an easy way to say, look, and to be honest, the more we say, look over there, the more internalized sometimes it actually is, right?
Well, look at all the people that are like, no abortion, no this, no that, and they're found with a 16-year-old girl or boy in a hotel. I'm like, I've never worried about abortion. I've never worried about any of this shit. And you're not finding me in a hotel room with some underage kid. It's always the ones that are tapping their foot under the bathroom stalls at an airport bathroom that have the issues. And they're always the ones that are creating these wacky laws.
Yeah, I think, anybody can sit down and have rational debates on what's a good law, how do we make it just, how do we make it fair, how do we take all the gray areas. I'm becoming more and more hesitant or nervous about any true believer. And when I say true believer, I'm not speaking just about religion. I'm speaking in general. Anybody that sees the world in black and white so easily, right? You are proving to me off the hop that you're choosing to remain ignorant on a whole bunch of things just to make it simple and easy. Because the truth, which is why a lot of people want to do this right now, because the truth is everything's gray, everything is complicated, everything has nuance. Nothing in this world is black and white. And when you admit that, it's scary, it's hard to control, it's hard to discuss, it's arduous. And we have enough people, we all have enough things going on in our lives that are hard and arduous and take up all of our time. I don't want that to be one of them. I just want you to tell me you're going to charge me less tax, I'm going to get better health care. That's all.
Yeah.
I want you to tell me that using gas in my car is no big deal. Don't worry about it. I want you to tell me that my world's going to get better with little to no suffering on my end. That's it. And if you can convince me of that, even if it's a lie, as long as it's almost one I can buy,
yeah,
I want to buy it. And that's where I look at people that maybe don't vote with their actual interests, and what's going to impact them. And I think they're just looking to feel safe.
Yeah.
And they're hopeful that the lie that they know is a lie in their gut isn't a lie, and they're going to have a better future. And that's it.
Well, I think this speaks to your entire act, which is unlearn, which humans want to put all in a box on a shelf and make it make sense, because then it aligns with their ego. It makes their ego real. So when you say, I am straight, I'm a female, I'm married, I'm a mom, and whatever else, right? Mm-hmm. I walk every day.
Yeah.
Then I can place myself in this box. I can feel comfortable. My ego is in a box. And now from that space, I can work from, where does everyone else around me in their boxes fit? Am I thinner than them? Am I smarter than them? Am I richer than them?
Little categories.
Great.
Right.
And what you were talking about was something that I read, was that one of the girls at your school came to you and said, XYZ, why are you saying that I can't wear a tank top or whatever it was? Right. And you went, right?
Yeah.
And I have a book, and in the first chapter, I talk about programming, the way we've been programmed since birth, from our parents, from church, the school, our friends, our family, society, is all programming. It helps us define our ego. And when you talk about this idea, this concept of unlearning, and I was thinking about you this morning whilst making my bed, I was thinking about this idea that once we've taught a human, we've got them. We've got them. Mm-hmm. We can manipulate them from that point, even if it's in a news article or a TV show. That's why I love documentaries, because it blows open my brain to what a murderer actually is and how they became a murderer, and so on and so forth, right? I have to unlearn my ideas about predators and Democrats and I'm thinking about this concept of what you're saying, that if we start from everything is gray, it's like everyone's walking around on ice. They don't know where it's everything's slippery and wait, maybe I do have to listen. And it was funny because my husband came to me the other day and he goes, maybe the goddamn Republicans are right. I don't freaking ask. No, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. And I love that about him.
It's a good place to start. Yeah.
It's a good place to start. And this whole idea, and I've had to learn, and I learned through my kids, and you've got, I don't know, probably 100 kids that you learn from every year, which is probably why you're way smarter than me. But from the kids that I have, I have to bite my tongue often because of the shorts, because of the tank tops, because of I want to drive my car to 2 hours to Michigan. And I'm just like, oh God, because I've been programmed from childhood that certain things mean certain things, which equate to certain things. And I think that it shows such a sign of growth for all of us when we can, as you're saying, sit in the gray and let the ice be under your feet.
Yeah. I think that's important. I think it's also important, like your kids driving 2 hours to Michigan. I don't know what they're doing in Michigan, but
place there.
What's that?
We have a place up there. And the first time she did it, I bought it
in Detroit. Or what kids are wearing when they leave the house. Like, obviously I push all sorts of boundaries or expectations, let's say, with the way that I dress, the way that I cut my hair, or whatever. But what I think is an interesting conversation, and I put this to my students often, we are all performative, meaning nobody on this planet is this amazing individual that has never been influenced, right? So if we've all been influenced, we've been influenced to do what, for what purpose? And I think sitting down and having that discussion has value.
Yeah.
I think it has value to say, well, when I dress in a certain way, am I doing it because I love it? Am I doing it because I saw it on a TV show? Am I doing it because he or she loves it? Am I doing it to get the right job? Am I doing it? Why am I doing? Because it's always a combination of that. Always. Anybody who says I dress just for myself, liar.
Right.
You're a liar. Stop. Stop. You want to walk out of the house and you want people to go, oh, wow, that's a good look. Of course. Now, in different capacities, that external validation becomes sometimes more of a driving force than it should. Talk about it. Yeah. For teenagers, it's going to be the number one driving force because all of a sudden it's part of their growth. Their parents don't matter anymore. The only thing that matters is their friends. That's why they all like to dress the same, because it's about that kind of peer, it's about validating who they are and in what group they are. And the reason why they need it is because they're pulling so hard away from their parents, because they need to become individuals, right?
Yeah.
And it's a painful process. And guess what? They're going to make a boatload of mistakes. My only job, I think, as a teacher and just as a person, is to have cool discussions about the why.
Yeah.
Let's not pretend, right? Let's not pretend that there isn't something external driving how you dress and what you wear and what you choose to do and who you hang out with and the way you present yourself. Let's not pretend as though you live in this bubble that is safe from all of these influences and socialization. That would be silly. And myself included, right? Myself included. Everybody's like, oh, well, Joe dresses like that, so obviously, well, yeah, but there's a whole section of the world and society that the way I dress is very much accepted, is very much like, oh no, this is, I like this because this is the group of people she belongs. So don't think for a second everybody's not looking for a level of acceptance and a level of sort of, inclusion into certain groups. We're social animals. We like it. But the key is, can you go into that group and can you question it without people losing their minds in defense, right? Because as soon as they dig in, oh, well, now what, right? Now what? Once you've dug into what defend, your hair, your makeup, to defend the truck you drive, what are we defending here? Because we all made rational conversation. We all made rational choices. Not one of us would own a brand new car. A stupid investment.
Right.
Well, and I use the word invest, not investment. What a stupid purchase. I have a new car sitting right. That's what I just looked at.
Well, I just saw a video. This girl was lugging out bags of clothes.
Yeah.
Garbage bags of clothes. And she said, this used to be money. And it's like, oh God, that's such a killer. Like looking around your house, you're like, oh, that used to be money, and that used to be money, and that, oh God. I think that TikTok, that social media is just, and these kids, they're so smart, and they teach us so much. It's just unbelievable. I want to talk about how teacher becomes famous, becomes TED Talk, becomes podcast, and now becomes author.
Right.
Like, if someone would have told you 5 years ago.
No.
Right?
It would have been insane. 5 years ago, I was talked into joining TikTok. 5 years ago, my students would show me TikToks. I'd be like, get that away from me. Why are you
so stupid?
Stop it. It's ridiculous, is what it is.
Ridiculous.
And then my friend's kid, Charlie, said, just join. I'm going to make an account for you. And
it's all these kids that got us sucked in. It's not our fault.
No.
It's the kids.
And then I was getting something from that, very much so. It was very lovely because, outside of the occasional dumb comment, I also tapped into this beautiful kind of little world of support. And yeah, that's a great lip sync, Joannna. And so that was lovely. And then a little bit of a community. And then as I was doing it more, I said something political, I think, about our local government here. And all of a sudden people really popped off. And I'm like, oh, I can just talk on here too. Because at that time, nobody was really doing that.
Yeah.
Now it's filled, right? Now it's hard pressed to come by a lip sync, to be on like a
I
song.
know, right?
Like somebody actually lip syncing a song. I don't see that anymore. And so I went, oh, I can just talk. And then there was so much crazy in the world. It made it real easy to talk. And then I started, maybe doing a little bit of class stuff or a little bit of, and the more I realized, the more I just do things that I think are interesting and I'm doing anyway.
Yeah.
The more people want to be a part of that.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think people want to follow a journey of you and your fiance, future wife, school? I mean, a chalkboard. I mean, do you not have whiteboards in Canada? I mean,
this is an old chalkboard that I just love, that I literally wheel out. Everything else is whiteboard. In my classroom, I haven't had a board up in my classroom in years because I don't teach like that. But there's something I like about the sound of it. I don't even know what made me do that in the first place, to be honest with you.
It's effective. It's very, very effective for the majority of the people that need to hear it. Because it takes us back. We feel, something's about to happen. Oh, it's getting wheeled out.
And I like the idea. I think too, number one, people like learning stuff. First and foremost, myself included. And I think most people like learning stuff if it's performative and it's funny. And then you can be educational. You got to be the first two first. And I think 23 years of teaching, and that's either you learn how to be performative and entertaining, or you quit teaching because you're not going to be good at it. So I think all of that is true. And then as I started, I think for me, I've always been in sort of life in general. I'm not a very closed off person. So I've always, I'm not like, oh, I don't talk about that. I don't talk about that. I'm like, I probably talk about most of it. Right. Yeah. And I think the older I got and the more power I found in really being authentic in what you're doing at that time, even though that's not perfect authenticity, even though some people are like, well, it's still performative. Of course, I'm trying to make you laugh. Yes, of course. But when I go vintage shopping, or I go to the mall, or I have to go to the hospital for the 17th time, I mean, those are all things that just happen. right? That's just happening. I don't manufacture any of it. And I think people are looking for that. It's like reality TV that was
Yeah.
never reality TV, you know?
Yeah.
It was always just drama and bullcrap in production. And people want to connect. And social media should be there for that. Like it really had the power and the potential to do that over a lot of different lines, right?
Well, I think that, like you said, a lot of people haven't even left their county, and then they get to go along this ride with you and go
Yeah.
food tasting and go to a mall and go do these things. And also for me, I know on social media, I've connected with a lot of people I would never in a million years meet. I get to learn about their way of life.
100%. Yep.
You know, there's a girl living on a boat in the Bahamas right now, you know, like, and she does work in different islands. I'm like, what kind of
Yeah,
life
yeah.
is this? You know, and you know, the guy traveling from Seattle to Hawaii or whatever the hell he did all by himself with his cat. Like
Oh, yeah.
people are taking I
On
mean,
that boat.
I know it's crazy. People are taking us along the ride with them, and we can say, yes, it's for me, or no, it's not for me. But even if it's not, what did Howard Stern say? People will listen to me for 10 more minutes to see what I say next that like me, and people will listen for 10 more minutes that hate me. But they're still going to listen to 10 more minutes regardless.
Right.
And I think that there's so much to be said for that with all of social media. Are you saying something interesting? Um, and I think that that's like what made you decide to now take this next step and write the book. What is it? That's not what this book is about.
Somebody approached me. So Brian from Codebreaker, who's a educational publisher and author himself, he approached me. He emailed me. I've had a lot of people ask me, will I write a book? Will I not? I had an idea about it, but I'm not an author. I'm not a writer. And what I really didn't want to have to contend with was any of the publishing, the distribute. I'm like,
You got enough going on.
I don't want to go to the mail room. I don't want any of it. And then he reached out and he said, listen, I think you have this authentic voice. I just want to help put it on paper. You do the creative stuff. I'll do everything else. And it was literally that marriage. And I when I talked to him, I was inspired by the way he talked about education. I was inspired with the way that he already had done things. So I knew he was going to be able to handle that back end. And I remember sitting down with him and saying, okay, by January, by the time I go back to school at the end of Christmas break, I'll have it done. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, because if I don't give myself that hard line,
Right.
this will go on forever.
Yeah.
I said, but it will be stream of consciousness. I do a lot of dashes, a lot of ... leave them all alone.
So Gen X, the ellipses.
Leave it alone. I go fix my grammar. Anything that's obvious, I mess something. Just fix it. Don't ask me about it, please. Just go fix it. If there's something that you don't understand or you don't see the purpose of, or it needs more explanation, then tell me. And then so I didn't even go back over it. He sent me like just sections that he's like, okay, we need more here. I don't understand this or whatever. And I rewrote that section in that, because if I would have gone over this book, two things would have happened. It never would have been finished. And then when it was finished, it wouldn't have been good. I swear to God, it wouldn't have been good. Because it wouldn't have been any longer authentic. It would have been like the 10th time I try to do a TikTok. That never works because I try to be too funny. Right. I think of too many things, or I think I'm going to sprinkle this here. I'm going to do this again. I'm going to, too much.
Yeah.
Too much.
Yeah.
People like even and that's why they like, let's say, live music. You don't listen for live music for it to be perfect. You listen for live music for Pink to forget the song that she's been singing for the past 20 years. And the audience sings it for her. And she's like, that's it. And then she gets back into, that's what you're waiting for, because it's the mistake that makes it personal and emotional, and it makes it human. And so the same with the book, the same with the way I do. A lot of people have me guest speak and they're like, what are you going to do? I'm like, we'll see. I'll see what the room is like. I'll see what the people care about. And then I'm going to speak to it. And if I make a mistake, If they wanted some sort of recorded speech,
I love that.
why?
I love that.
I don't understand the point. I truly don't understand. Like, I mean, I have a topic that I'm going to talk about, but if that group of people, if I go in to talk about equity and all of a sudden they really want to talk about gerrymandering for whatever reason, uh, get me a chalkboard.
Right.
Let's talk about it, because I promise you there's a connection.
Yeah.
I promise you there's a connection between what I was going to talk about and its output in the political sphere or the educational sphere or the legal and economic sphere. Guess what? It's everywhere. So I think that's my goal with the book and then with speaking engagements, because my idea is I want to be the antithesis of a Charlie Kirk or a Jordan Peterson. I want to be able to occupy and be in person in venues with real people who love me or hate me, both preferably. And I want to be able to have a good discussion. And I want it to go where it's going to go. That's my goal.
Why don't you set it up? I mean, I think that at this point you can do that round table chaos debate situation. You're there.
Yeah. Well, again, those are a little too performative for me too, because again, those are set up so that I beat you, not so we have a discussion. I'm not interested in winning. I can make people look like idiots. That's not interesting to me. What's interesting to me and what should be interesting to everybody is, why is somebody willing to sit across the table from me and say something like, trans men and women in the U.S. Army don't deserve retirement.
Yeah, right. All of a sudden, P.S.
Excuse me? They served their country in the scariest, most dangerous, most life-altering way. And now you want to tear that away from them from what? Listen, I can make somebody feel like absolute garbage and walk away crying with that opinion, or we can have a conversation and we can talk about why the word trans scares them so badly. Who has taught you that? Why have they taught you that? What is it about you that makes you feel so uncomfortable? That's the conversation. Because I'm telling you right now, if I embarrass somebody, I'm not winning.
Yeah.
I'm just not. They're going to go back with more rage and more, they're going to dig in further. They're not going to ever want to have that discussion again. Now, I think there are lines, obviously. There's people you're not going to get to have discussions with. But I still think most people on this planet are good people. They want what's best for themselves and their families and the people that they love and their community. And they're just trying to find a road to it. That's it. That's their goal. Now, if they go off course a little bit and it seems as though that's not getting you where you're supposed, then that's the conversation we need to have. And I don't think people are ingrained to be racist and bigoted. I think they're ignorant. And I don't mean that in stupid. I mean ignorant, meaning they don't know. How many trans people do you know? Oh, none? What a shock.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and the more that can happen, the more that those worlds collide, the better off every single person in that room is. And by the way, according to the left, I'm also not politically correct all the time. I'm also not, the left has made a very tightrope of things you can and can't talk about, can and can't say. I also think that's garbage. And that's how you create a right the way that it looks right now. You get mad at people and you fire off on people that make honest mistakes.
Yeah.
And they just don't know.
Yeah.
And you try to bury them because of it. Oh, and I watch the left eat each other all the time.
Even when they learn, even when they apologize, then it's not really a sincere apology and it's performative. It's like, no, I remember when I went through my whole people of color nervous breakdown. a few years back when I didn't know what I didn't know even. And, you say the wrong thing and this, that, and the other. Thank God it was before TikTok. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I hear people now say, and I'm just like, like there's just a lot of things that you say that you don't even realize. Like if you're speaking to a Black woman, you don't say the word angry. You don't say the word you're being aggressive. It's a trigger, and it's deemed a certain way, and you need to be mindful of that. But if you don't know that, and you're like, why are you being so angry? Like I can see on both sides, definitely, like I didn't know, but now I know. And
wouldn't that be a great conversation to have? Because
great
I'm sorry, I
conversation.
know lots of people of many different backgrounds who get angry.
Who get
So
angry.
am I never allowed to use the word, even if that's what you are? Well, of course. So let's have that conversation.
Yeah.
Right? Let's
Yeah.
have it. Let's have it in a real, authentic way, not in a way where I'm trying to prove that I'm better than you or you're trying to prove that you're always right. That's going nowhere. Because again, with the statement you just said, there's no gray. It's all gray. There's no black. There's no white. No pun intended.
Yeah. I mean, I think it'd be interesting. I mean, just when you just said that, I mean, that's an interesting book right there, is having those conversations in a book so that people can sit down and read, or, like just watch it happen. I think that that's what's so scary right now, is having the conversation. Any conversation can be scary. Like why is it okay to have trans athletes? Why isn't it okay? Why does it matter there's 7 of them in the United States? Like, what are we doing here? Why do we always have to focus on this thing that's 1/10 of 1/1 billionth of a percent when there's so many other issues? Like, why do we care about gay marriage? What does that do to anybody's, like, how does that affect me at all? But let's have the conversation. I think that's really brilliant, because right now I think that by making everything not okay, we are missing a lot of conversations, because people like me, who don't want to step on myself, who don't want to choke on my own foot, I probably do pull back on saying a lot of things on social media, on my podcast, because I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But I don't want to get canceled. I don't want to go through months of being on that side of TikTok, or, being attacked in that way.
Yeah.
And I think it does stifle conversations. I had a mishap. I've talked about it here before, with a creator, and they were, it was during that man versus bear whole conversation.
Yeah.
And, the trends, right? And I there was this guy, and he was going off about women, and I'm just about, I forget what it was. I'm like, he was commenting on man versus bear, and I'm like, well, clearly you've never had to deal with being attacked, and he had, and I didn't know that he was assaulted by a female, and 2 months. 2 months I was attacked. It was scary. It was awful. It was horrible. Did I come back at him in that space? I mean, I had to have, like, I'm like messaging him like, dude, call off the dogs. He's like, you deserve it. You did this. You said what you said. And now this is the way that life is. And it finally did die down, because thank God the FYP finally took it offline, because he did not.
I want to know what that whole story is, because in my head,
it was bad.
I don't need to devalue what any one individual has gone through as a man in this world. Okay, so if he's been attacked by a woman, or by another man, by the way, whatever the case may be, I would still make an argument. I don't even know who he was, but I would still say, walking through this world and the attacks and the assaults and the objectification and the entitlement to our bodies as women, you're not going to compare the two, right? Like
that
would be absolute garbage to me. Absolute, because it's consistent. It is so consistent that women let go, and what they shouldn't do. Women let go of 90% of stuff that happens to them.
Easily.
90%. I don't know a woman who hasn't been sexually assaulted at some point. I don't know one. I don't know. And so to make that comparison is ridiculous and asinine. Now, I don't need to say that, oh my God, well, everybody couldn't have been, of course. But right now, we're talking about what the consistent patterns are, what the law said, like all of it, right? I
All
remember
of it.
it with that student that you were talking about what kids wear and what young women wear, and her talking about that. I remember there was an artist in the East Coast, and she put together installation of all of the clothes, I think 20 different outfits that women were wearing when this happened, right? When SA happened. And the fascinating part of that, there's a lot, because so she'd put up the piece, and then she'd have a description of what happened to the individual. There wasn't a mini skirt to be seen.
Yeah.
Right? It was like running shoes, track pants, a hat, like a jacket. It was winter. Like, and all of the preconceptions that I had in my head that were garbage about, you know, what women wear and how it attracts, and then you start to realize, holy crap, no, it's just culture. I could be wearing a snowsuit.
Yep.
And there's still an element in our culture that says I can have access if I want, if I'm bigger and stronger than you. And that, to dismiss that by trying to say, yeah, but I've been attacked too, I think I don't think that's a.
Well, then he doubled it. Then he said that the reason that men are like that is because women have raised them. So it all goes back to women. It was not a fun couple months.
I don't know who this person is. Listen, I would never discount parenting and how we raise our kids.
Yeah.
But that's just women? Well, men haven't raised you? And if men haven't raised you, what problem is that?
Yeah.
Like, you can say my parents, you can say culture, you can say a lot of things, because there's not a lie there. Our culture has emboldened it, accepted it, right? There were no laws against marital SA until 1985.
Isn't that wild?
In Canada, anyway. I don't know what it was in the States.
Yeah,
1985.
I think it might even still be not a thing here in some states. Like, that's one thing. In Canada, do you have different states with different laws that like
criminal law is consistent across the country. So I find it very disconcerting that you can go to one state and have capital punishment, not in another state. That's insane to me.
Insane.
So we have a criminal code that goes across the entire country. Civil law, so like contract law, marriage law, all that changes province to province. So yeah, it would be kind of like your federal laws, I guess. You know, you would still have, you know, those kind of overarching laws. But the idea you can be in California and do something, or Texas, and have two completely different outcomes is insane to me. I don't understand how you create a cohesive country. Well, you don't. You created a cohesive country with that differentiation, right?
Well, criminal laws and protections.
Yeah.
We've lost both. I mean, both are haphazard. You know, the fact that I'm living in Illinois, footloose and fancy free, until I got my electric bill the other day, which that's a whole nother screwery. It's been $200 a month for 8 years. It was $550 a month.
And what's the underpinning there?
Well, it's all over TikTok. Right now, I went to bed last night and it just blew up, probably because I crossed back into state lines. And I guess it has to do with the delivery fee that ComEd is charging. But
why is it so high all of a sudden?
We have no idea. But I mean, the woman on the video last night, she was giving phone numbers for like Pritzker's office and stuff like that, the governor here in Illinois. So I will be calling them today to at least let my voice be heard, because $200 to $550, and this is across Illinois. So this is my whole house. I mean, granted it's air conditioning, but it's gas stove, gas heat. I mean, just lights and it's wild. So over more than doubled. But, the whole idea that I have a friend who is an OBGYN and she is delivering babies from people that are coming in from Indiana. She's dealing with abortion situations coming in from Indiana. 30 minutes from me is Indiana. And she's dealing with all of the fallout of incest and rape and abortion situations. It's
insane.
wild.
It's absolutely, and again, like all of that is just, is crazy to me. And this is the thing that people are going to start to have a real eye-opening experience and try to understand. When you talk about your constitution and what fundamental freedoms are, you better get those real clear and real solidly unlocked. I'll never forget, actually, when Roe v. Wade was getting overturned, which, by the way, I bet against that too. I'm like, there's no way.
No, my dad told me he's a criminal attorney for almost 40 years. He said, Meredith, they just do it for politics. It will never be overturned. Yeah. Never. It is the pursuit of happiness. It is right to privacy. It will never be overturned.
But you know what's funny? I'll never forget, because I saw this before that ever happened. When Ruth Bader Ginsburg, when that movie came out, I was doing a little bit more, and I came across her saying, careful, this is on a faulty premise. She was very pro-choice. She thought it should be a protection. It wasn't like she was against a woman's right to choose. She goes, I don't like the law on this one. They pushed it too quickly. They pushed it for a reason, and the law is shaky. And she said that an awfully long time ago. And so when I heard that, I went, oh no. Well, it's not, you got to make sure you make it on the right sort of, constitutional framework, and it has to be solid, rather than it being, because then if we're waiting for it to be a whim, if we're waiting for it to be a cultural shift, well, here we are.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, I am just so thrilled that you agreed to be on the podcast
thank you for having me. And I'm sorry we had a couple of mishaps.
Oh, well, you know what? It's some Gen X shit. It's my fault.
Listen, I missed a whole other day. Don't you remember?
Yeah, I don't know.
Just didn't even have any remembrance of it at all.
Because you're in my world. You're perfect. You have a new book. It's available on Amazon. That's not what this book is about, is the title.
That's it.
3.5 million people find you fascinating. I am one of them. Go check her out over on TikTok. Are you on Instagram? What are you over there? I'm sure. Okay. Podcast Unlearn 16 class is in session. Right. You have a TED Talk. You use the word MapQuest when trying to find a location. I wrote that down today because I was dying because I tell them.
I didn't say triptych. Do you remember those?
The ticker from AAA.
That's right. I didn't say that. I've been to Florida at least 15 times on those maps.
I literally was dying. You're like, I put it in MapQuest. I'm like, oh, she's my people. Because I say it all the time. I never say, I'm like, put it in Maps. It's in MapQuest.
Whatever.
I love it so much.
I'm going to get a map for my car.
I know.
Everyone's just pull it out.
My kids the other day were they're like, what do we do if there's no internet? How do we get anywhere? I go, we don't.
They die.
We just die. We're screwed. There's no
places I've been going my whole life. I'll put it on because it'll show me the quickest way to get there.
Quickest way, no accidents, no situations, no detours. It's just right. And I don't have to think. And maybe that's why you have.
Every time I'm in the car with my mom, she fights it. That's not the right way. I said, Mom, it is. She goes, no, it's not. I know a better way. I said, you do not know a better way.
Trust me, they know the bestest way. My daughter, who's 27 in November, she left a half an hour, 45 minutes from before me yesterday from Michigan to Illinois. And I looked at the maps because I was going to call her to make sure she had gotten home. She was east of me, perpendicular. I go, what have you done? We are equal and you are closer to Ohio than Chicago. She's like, I made a wrong turn and I just didn't trust it to reconfigure me. So I just kept going because I turned the voice off because I'm listening to a podcast. I'm like, You're only 27. You can't be this flaky yet. It's not okay. I'm 52. Get back, turn the voice on. So yes, it is what it is. It's not an age thing. I think it's a personality thing.
You know
because
what?
my
Next
27-year-old
podcast we'll tell them how to use a triptych.
Triptych. What this?
We'll show you page by page.
Well, this has just been
and
so awesome.
Where it's like construction, please take a detour.
They won't know what to do.
No.
They'll be like, "What's a detour? I don't even know. Is it going to reroute me? Is it gonna tell me where to turn around?" Yeah. Trust.
I'm gonna make it a job of some of my graduates to be able to go somewhere using a triptych.
That's actually not a bad idea.
If they can get there, they can graduate. If not, they got to redo grade 12. All right.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Everybody go check out her podcast. Go follow her on Instagram. She's got more information than I do, and I live here in the United States. She's bringing it all. She's planning a wedding. We get to go along for the ride for all of that. And she takes you to amazing antique fairs with, all the good stuff from our childhood, including Gumby and all the things.
That's true.
I love it so much. All right, you guys, I'll see you all here next week. Thanks so much for listening.
Thanks for tuning in to the TikTok Famous Podcast with Meredith Willits. If you're loving the unfiltered stories and behind-the-scenes truths, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share the show. Until next time, let's get famous.